Hello everyone and welcome to StudyIQ. In this lecture, I will be discussing the most important topic of world history, that is World War II. My name is Dr. Mahipal Singh Rathore and I am a faculty for General Studies at StudyIQ. Before we begin, let me remind you that the pendrive course for CLAT and KVS has been launched and you can order it from the website or you can call on this number. So let us start with World War II. This topic is important for all kinds of examination where general awareness is a part of syllabus. So for UPSC examinations, for state PCS examination and SSC, CGL and CHSL both, as well as any other exam where general awareness is part of the syllabus. So why is it called total war? Total war because every apparatus of the country, all the factories, the industries, everyone, right from the person who is a worker at a factory to the soldier fighting on the border lines, everyone was part of the war. That is why it is called total war. And global war because of the global nature, it was fought all around in Europe, Asia, Africa, Atlantic Ocean, Pacific Ocean, everywhere. The usual date on which the World War II started, it is given as 1st of September 1939, but sometimes some historians say that 1937 is the date when the Sino Japanese war started. It is the second Sino Japanese war. So if it is asked in examination as in the form of multiple choice question, it will most probably be 1939 and it ended on August 1945. So for 6 years this war raged on throughout the globe. Around 60 to 80 million people died in this war. So around 5 crore civilians and 2.5 crore soldiers died. This is the deadliest conflict in human history ever. The most number of people died in this war, in any of the war throughout the human history. Who were the countries or the nations who fought the war? So we had two sides. The first one was Allies or the Allied powers, and the second one was Axis powers. Remember, in World War I, Germany, the side on which Germany was, it was called Central Power. So don't confuse these two. And the Allies, it was called Allies only over there in World War I as well. But here the difference is Central and Axis powers. So in the Allies, we have UK, England, the British Empire, France and all its colonies, USA, USSR, and China, and some minor countries like Poland, Yugoslavia and Greece. But the major combatants were these: UK, France, USA, USSR and China. On the other hand, Axis powers had the Nazi Germany or the Third Reich, it was called, the Kingdom of Italy and Japan. So these three countries. You can see in this map all the countries that are in blue color. You can see Germany here, Italy, then there is Japan and all the territories that Japan controlled. And again in Africa you have the colonies of Italy here in East Africa as well as North Africa, Libya. And then you have all the countries that are marked in green. They are the allies, so mainly USSR, UK, France and USA and also China. Let me begin with the causes of World War II. So just like World War I, there are many causes and not just one cause that led to World War II. One of the first is rise of militarism in Japan. Japan was becoming very aggressive. It started attacking and capturing territories all around in mainland China, in islands all over the Pacific Ocean, because it wanted to be a huge superpower, military superpower, and to rule Asia. Then secondly, the unjust Treaty of Versailles. The Treaty of Versailles was signed after World War I, and in that Germany was not given good terms, and later on France was vengeful for in its behavior towards Germany, because Germany had attacked France during World War I, and so France took full advantage of this Treaty of Versailles and imposed very humiliating terms and conditions over Germany. So for the next 20 years, the Germans were humiliated in the world by France in many affairs. Then there were the demands of imperialism. The new imperialist countries of Japan and Germany wanted to compete with the old ones for resources, for various kinds of territories in Africa and Asia. This was also a leading cause of the war. There was a rise in nationalism and dictatorships in countries like Germany and Japan, also in Italy, where Benito Mussolini ruled. In Germany there was Hitler. I will talk about him later. Then failure of League of Nations. This organization was formed after World War One, but it failed miserably in cases like Manchuria and the attack on Ethiopia by Italy, and also when Germany reoccupied the Rhineland. I will talk all about these events later. Also, irrational boundaries divided during the discussions of Paris Peace Conference or the Treaty of Versailles. So after World War One, many countries were divided, many new countries were formed, but the people living in that countries were not ethnically of that country. For example, many Germans were now living in Poland, and many Germans were living in Czechoslovakia as well. So there was a feeling of dissatisfaction amongst these people. Another important cause is the rise of Hitler and his NSDAP party. This is perhaps the most important cause of World War II. The party's name was National Socialist German Workers' Party, commonly known as Nazi Party. But remember this name, it is very important. It can be asked in questions. This party had a very anti-Semitic ideology. It means that it was against Jews. It also had anti-Marxist policies. It hated communists. Hitler was against communism. Please remember this. And they believed in the superiority of the Aryan race. They believed that all the white Germans who have blonde hair, golden colored hair, they belong to the Aryan race, and all the other people living in Germany should be excluded. They should be thrown out of Germany or killed. Hitler became the Chancellor, which is a position like Prime Minister in Germany. So he became the Chancellor in January 1933. Then he carried out the rearming of German Army and Air Force. After the Treaty of Versailles, it was decided that Germany cannot have an army of its own, not have an air force, but Hitler started building a huge army and as well as a very powerful air force. He also had some policies which marked the Jews, so everyone who was a Jew had to wear a special symbol while going out in public, which depicted them, which marked them specifically as of other religion. And he also suspended civil liberties of all the civilians. There were no elections. He suspended democracy in Germany, and you can see that this is why he became a dictator. He was elected initially, although this election in 1933 he did not get complete majority. It was a hung parliament, but he was called to make the government. But slowly he transformed into a dictator in very less time, and he said that I will restore the glory of the fatherland. Now we come to the Asian theatre of war and the Asian cause. So the war in Asia started because of the Second Sino Japanese War. Sino means China. Wherever you see the word Sino or Sino written, you understand it is China. So the war between China and Japan, it started in 1937. Japan had been very active militarily since the 19th century, and even in the 20th century in 1910 it invaded Korea and captured it. Then in 1931 it invaded Manchuria, which is the northern part of China. I will show you this in map later. So at the same time there was a civil war going on in China between the nationalists and the communists. So Japan took full advantage of this situation and it started attacking and taking away cities from China. In 1937, it attacked China. It was a full-blown invasion of China. Earlier, they had taken over only Manchuria, that was north of China. But in 37, they invaded the heartland of China, southern China, the area around Shanghai, Nanking. This war went until 1945 and it became a part of the larger World War II. So you can see in this map, this area named Manchukuo is Manchuria. The Japanese named it as Manchukuo. So they occupied this area initially in 1931, but in 1937 they attacked Beijing. Here you can see Beijing taking, and also all the coastal cities here you can see pink colored. They started attacking these and conquered the territory of Taiwan as well. Also earlier you can see these islands 1874 here, Bonin Islands 1875. So Japan had occupied all these Pacific islands slowly and steadily throughout the 19th and 20th century. So Japan had a huge military movement and nationalism and militarism was rising in Japan. Now we come to Europe. So this is a map of Europe. Before we start, you need to be very clear about which country is where, because otherwise you won't be able to understand World War II. So please pay attention in this map. You can see Germany. Right next to Germany in south is Austria. Between Austria and Germany, this is the country called Czechoslovakia. Then there is Hungary here. Just south of Austria, there is Yugoslavia. If you remember from World War I, this was the territory of the Habsburg dynasty or the Austro-Hungarian Empire. Then you have Italy here, the Italian peninsula, France, Poland right west of Germany. Then there is this area, this country called Lithuania, Latvia and Estonia. These are called the Baltic nations because of this Baltic Sea. You can see there is this Baltic Sea and all these three countries are called the Baltic nations. And here you have USSR, the large country. So you can see the locations, you know the locations now. So it will be very easy for you to understand the geography and history of World War II. So in 1936, Hitler remilitarized Rhineland. This was an area which was decided, it is the boundary between France and Germany. So it was decided in 1919 that in Rhineland there will be no army ever because it posed a threat to France. Then there was a treaty between Rome and Berlin. This means Italy and Germany, and they called it Rome-Berlin Axis. This is the name from where the term Axis powers came from. Later, Germany also signed a pact with Japan. So Germany signed two different pacts, the first one with Italy and the second one with Japan. In 1938, Hitler annexed some areas surrounding Germany. So he annexed entire country of Austria and the process was called Anschluss. He said that Austria has historically been part of Germany. It was never supposed to be a different country and it was artificially created during World War I. So he demanded that Austria should again become a part of Germany, and mostly it was a bloodless coup, or you can say that there was no killing, not many soldiers died in this annexation because people of Austria initially welcomed Hitler. They did not know what was in store for them. And after few months after that, Hitler said that Sudetenland, that is the area in Czechoslovakia near Germany's border. Please see the map here again. So this is Austria, and then Sudetenland here was the border area of Germany and Czechoslovakia. He said that this area also belongs to Germany and that was also annexed. Now you might imagine that if one country is annexing entire other country, the other countries of the world would say something, but that did not happen. UK and France followed a policy of appeasement. It means that they let Hitler do whatever he want. They thought that he will annex one country, maximum two countries, and after that he will stay quiet. He won't ask for more. Why risk war for just a small country like Austria? So this was a policy of appeasement. This led to Hitler thinking that no one will challenge me and Britain and France are weak, they want to avoid war, and so I can become very powerful and I can do whatever I want. In this map you can see this shaded portion is Rhineland. So you can see this is the border between France, Belgium and Germany. Hence it was decided to not allow military here. Then this purple colored area is Sudetenland and this is Austria. So these are the areas that Hitler annexed. Now coming to 1939. After Sudetenland, so after 1 year later, 2 years later, Hitler said that we want entire Czechoslovakia, and he attacked and conquered the entire Czechoslovakia in March, and no one said anything. Next, his target was Poland, but now France and UK were active. They promised Poland that if someone attacks you, we will come to your aid. They even signed a military pact with them. At the same time, Hitler wanted safety from USSR, so he signed a pact called Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. There's an O here. It is Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. It is named after the foreign ministers of both the countries. Molotov was USSR foreign minister and Ribbentrop was the German foreign minister. Why did he sign an agreement with USSR? Because he knew that sooner or later he will have to go to war with UK and France. So he did not want to repeat the mistake of World War I when Germany was defeated, because it was attacked from both the sides, USSR as well as the Western countries. So this time he wanted peace with USSR, and thus this pact was signed. So on 1st September 1939, war breaks out because Germany attacked Poland. As soon as they attacked, France and England came to Poland's rescue and they declared war on Germany. But they could not do anything. Poland was annexed by Germany. At the same time, because USSR and Germany had that pact Molotov-Ribbentrop, USSR also attacked Poland. They had this secret agreement that we will attack Poland together. No one knew about this. So USSR attacks Poland from the east and Germany from the west. Look at this map. So this was the country of Poland earlier. You can see it was then divided amongst these two countries. So this area, the western part was kept by Germany, and the eastern part, which you see here in brown and yellow color, that was kept by USSR. Also, these countries of Estonia, Latvia and Lithuania were under the influence of USSR, and after some months the USSR attacked them and took control of these three Baltic countries as well. Now we come to 1940, the Blitzkrieg part of campaign. Now after attacking Poland, Germany attacked Denmark in earlier part of 1940 and as well as Norway. Why it attacked Denmark and Norway? Because ultimately it wanted to go to Belgium and from there on to Finland. So Belgium and Netherlands, they are also called as the Low Countries sometimes because they are situated even below the level of sea at many places. They fell to the Blitzkrieg campaign of Germany. What is this Blitzkrieg? It means a very fast campaign where the armies move very fast along with tanks and lots of air power to support the forward moving army. And it took only a few days to conquer Belgium and a couple of weeks for Netherlands. Same with Denmark, only few days for Denmark. In fact, few hours. Denmark fell within just few hours. Within one single day, Hitler conquered Denmark, and within a month, Norway. After these countries, Italy also joined and it attacked France, and Germany also attacked France in June. So both Italy and Germany attacked France. At the same time, USSR occupied the Baltic states and Finland, as I have already told you. They had their pact called Molotov-Ribbentrop. According to that only they were progressing till now. As soon as France was invaded, it fell within few days. In fact, on 10th June, the German army started its attack and on 14th June, Paris fell. The capital was under the control of Germany. And as soon as France was gone, Battle of Britain begins. Germany started attacking the various cities like London, Birmingham, Portsmouth of UK, and they bombed continuously for many months. This was called the Blitz, and the main purpose of this bombing was so that Britain signs a peace treaty, but it could not happen. The British Air Force, after few months, successfully repelled the attacks of the German Air Force. The German Air Force was called the Luftwaffe. But this was a very important period in the history of Britain because in centuries no one had attacked London directly. So it was after many centuries that someone had attacked London, and this was a huge this was a huge setback to the British people. They thought that no one could attack the island of Britain, but Germany and Hitler did that. Now in 1940, to cement the pact they had with the two different countries of Japan and Italy, Germany signed a tripartite pact. Earlier the agreement was separately with these two, but now there was a common tripartite pact, and this led to the formation of Axis powers. It said that if you attack any country, if you attack Japan, you will go to war with Germany and Italy, and vice versa. So later Hungary, Bulgaria and Romania, these three countries also joined the Axis powers. Now coming to 1941, please have a look at this map first. Egypt in North Africa was a colony of England, UK. Libya was a colony of Italy, and the country of Tunisia, Algeria and Morocco were under France. So allies and here Axis power. So Egypt, the British forces in Egypt, they successfully attacked the Italians here in Libya and they were pushed back, but later German reinforcements arrived and again the British were sent back to Egypt. At the same time in 41, Germany invaded Yugoslavia and Greece. So you can see Germany has overrun almost the entire Central and Southern Europe. After attacking Yugoslavia and Greece, Hitler turned his armies towards USSR. Now, even though they had a peace treaty between themselves, Hitler wanted to attack Russia because he wanted Lebensraum or living space. There was large amount of land available for farming for people that could feed the German people. The German population was growing at a rapid pace and it had many other countries now and many other people to feed. So he thought that the vast areas of Ukraine, today's Ukraine and the other areas of USSR, they could be of use to us and they could provide us Lebensraum. So he started Operation Barbarossa. It is considered to be one of the largest land army operations ever. And they attacked Russia. It is a very big deal to attack Russia. Only few armies have ever done that and won. No, everyone else has failed, right from Napoleon. Everyone has failed to attack and conquer Russia because Russian winters are very harsh. So they started in June, but they could not win everything by October and November. And when the Russian winter set in, the German army got bogged down due to the winter and the weather conditions. And there was a stalemate by the end of 1941. So this is a map which shows the German attack on Russia. So you can see here, this is Operation Barbarossa. Also, you can see the entire Europe is red. Why? Because it is under the control of Axis powers apart from Switzerland, which remained neutral in both World War I and World War II. So you can see France, Belgium, Netherlands, Denmark, Norway, Finland, and then Poland, Czechoslovakia, Hungary, Romania, Bulgaria, and Yugoslavia and Greece. Everything is under the control of Axis. The entire Europe is under the control of Axis powers. Now we move on to the Pacific theater of World War II. In the Pacific Ocean, Japan had conquered large parts of the coastal China by 1940. Their war was going on since 1937, as I mentioned earlier, Sino Japanese War. Now in 1940, they joined Axis powers under the tripartite agreement and they started attacking the western colonies in China. So France and Britain had colonies in Asia like Hong Kong, Burma, Philippines, Indochina. Indochina means Vietnam, Laos and Cambodia. So Japan started attacking and capturing each one of these. Also Indonesia, very important because of its natural resources and oil. It was called Dutch East Indies because it was under the control of the Dutch, Netherlands. And Singapore. This was the most prized possession of UK. It was a UK colony and it was very important for control over the Straits of Malacca, but they lost it to Japan. In this map, you can see all the areas conquered by Japan. So here is Manchuria since 1931, then the area of southern China, then you have Burma, Thailand, Indochina, Malaysia, Indonesia, and also Papua New Guinea and Philippines. So entire Southeast Asia is under the control of Japan. At this time, USA has stopped the oil supply to Japan. It has put an embargo. It means any US company would not supply oil to Japan. So due to this embargo, Japan was facing difficulties and Japan also was under the threat of USA because if USA ever entered the World War II, which sooner or later everyone thought it would, they would be directly under attack in Pacific Ocean. They would come in direct conflict with Japan. So to prevent this, Japan did a very daring attack. It is called the Pearl Harbor attack. So on December 7 and 8, Japan attacked many places at once. One of those places was Pearl Harbor. It was the harbor in Hawaii. Hawaii, you can see in this map, this is Hawaii. These are the islands of Hawaii. They are under the control of USA and they are situated in the middle of Pacific Ocean. Along with Pearl Harbor, many countries like Malaysia, many air bases and naval ports in Malaysia, Philippines, and Hong Kong were attacked at once. And the aim was to cripple the navy of UK and USA in these places. But the Pearl Harbor attack was the largest attack ever on US soil. Around 2,500 Navy soldiers, the naval soldiers died, and this was the largest attack up till 9/11 on US soil. After this attack, USA joined World War II on the side of Allied forces, and they came in conflict with Japan. Also, Japan had bombed Australia, which was a Commonwealth country, and it was also a colony of UK. Papua New Guinea as well, both under the control of UK. So they were continuously bombing these areas, and Japan and UK was under tremendous pressure. It asked for help from USA and it got that help. After US entered, there were many battles, naval battles between US and Japan throughout the islands of Pacific Ocean and Southeast Asia. They continued for 2 years, and slowly and steadily USA started winning islands back from Japan. The most crucial battle where Japan lost was the Battle of Midway and later at Guadalcanal. Remember that these 2 years were very tough. Many soldiers died in this Pacific campaign and not many people know about it. But it was very tough to conquer one island after another. It is not like fighting on land continuously that you can take your jeep and trucks and move forward. It is very difficult to conquer these islands with hilly terrain on them. So this is Midway, and Guadalcanal is situated here, north of Australia, in near Papua New Guinea. So these were the two important battles that Japan lost and which turned the tide against Japan. We come to 1942 now. Axis powers are in total control in Europe, but now the tide is turning and they start losing. First of all, when they had attacked Russia in 1941, now Russians start to push back, and after huge loss of life on this front, between this war in Germany and Russia, many people died. The most number of casualties were in this battle only between Russia and Germany, and there were lots of war crimes. Many civilians were killed by both the sides, German army as well as Russian army. They committed many war crimes on this eastern front. It is called the Eastern Front. The famous siege of Leningrad. Leningrad is the city of St. Petersburg. Earlier it was called Leningrad. And the city of Stalingrad, today it is known by the name of Volgograd, because it is situated on the river Volga. So the siege of Leningrad was very tough. For 2 years, people did not have anything to eat there. The German army was surrounding the entire city, and they survived with much difficulties and with so much of horror in the city. So much civilians, they were getting killed. Lakhs and lakhs of people died in St. Petersburg, not thousands, lakhs. Same in Battle of Stalingrad. It became a symbol of Russian resistance. The USSR army pushed back Germans from Stalingrad, and from there on their victory started, and they pushed the Germans back into Europe from Russia, and they conquered the Eastern Europe countries. In 1942, the Allies also pushed back Germans and Italians from Libya. Now you remember North Africa, where the Germans had pushed back British back into Egypt, but now in 1942, with the help of US Army, they defeated the Germans and Italian in North Africa, and US Army attacked from Morocco and the British Army attacked from Egypt. Tunisia was finally won in 1943, in the earlier part of 1943. After this, the Allied forces attacked the island of Sicily and later the mainland of Italy. Sicily is part of Italy only. It is a huge island situated in the Mediterranean Sea. During this attack, the dictator of Italy, Benito Mussolini, he was deposed by his own government, and there was sort of a coup against him. His own ministers arrested him and sent him to jail. And thus half of the Italy was conquered by Allied forces, but the northern part there it still remained under the control of the old Italian government because it was mountainous areas and it took some time for the Allied forces to conquer it. Now we come to 1944. By this time, Soviet army has liberated most of the Eastern Europe from Germany, and Allied armies are pushing through northern Italy, as I told you already. Also, Allied navy is getting closer to Japanese mainland. They are capturing one island after another. And Japanese attacks in Assam have also been repelled. If you have studied the modern Indian history, you might know about this, the Battle of Imphal and Kohima, where the Indian National Army of Subhash Chandra Bose was fighting along with the Japanese, but they were repelled by the British forces and they went back to Burma. This is a map of 1944, Europe in 1944. The blue colored part is under Axis control, but you can see here that southern part of Italy has been liberated. This is the island of Sicily. This is Sicily. And also you can see the northern part of Africa, the northern coast of Africa is also under the control of Allied countries now. Here, USSR has liberated Ukraine, and also slowly it liberated these areas of Romania, Bulgaria, and also Hungary by 1945. Then we will talk about D-Day. What is this D-Day? You might have heard about it in news or some movies or even some documentaries on National Geographic. So on 6th June 1944, the Allied armies finally decided to land in France and attack the France, which had been under the control of Germany since 1940. So for 4 years they were under the control of Germans. So they landed in the northern part of France near Normandy. These are also called as Normandy landings sometimes. And France was liberated within few months and Germans were pushed back. In this photograph you can see the landings. These are huge ships. Now they are offloading their materials, the soldiers and all kinds of vehicles. You can see here the trucks and jeeps are being offloaded. So these are all for attack on the German positions in France. So this was a amphibious landing. It is considered to be the largest amphibious landing ever taken place in the history of war. Amphibious means from water to land. So that was in June 1944. Now by April, that is in around 10 months, Germany surrendered, the German army surrendered, and on 30th April Hitler committed suicide in his bunker. Also by the middle of 1945, Burma had been liberated by the British forces, Indonesia had been liberated, and Philippines also had been taken back by Allied armies. So you can see now that the Allied army had won almost all the areas except Japan. This photograph is from the fall of Berlin. So after defeating Germany in Europe, now only Japan was remaining. Italy and Germany both had been defeated. So what to do with Japan? To avoid a full-scale invasion of the Japanese mainland, which would have resulted in at least 4 to 5 lakh US soldiers dying, USA decided to drop the newly built nuclear bombs. They had recently developed the nuclear bombs. They had never tried it out in the open, and they decided to drop it on two cities, Hiroshima and Nagasaki, 6th August and 9th August. The names of these bombs are important. The first bomb was called Little Boy and Fat Man. These are just nicknames given by the army to these bombs because this was a small bomb and this was a larger one. So for the first and only time in the history of mankind, nuclear bomb was dropped on someone or a country, and around 1.5 lakh people died instantly. As soon as the bomb dropped, around 80,000 people died in Nagasaki, and around 1.5 lakh, it is said 1 to 1.5 lakh people died in Hiroshima. And after these nuclear bombs, Japan surrendered on August 15. The date is important because India's Independence Day and many other countries like Indonesia, they celebrate their Independence Day on August 15. The reason is to commemorate this day when Japan surrendered and World War II came to an end. It was decided to give independence to India on August 15. It was decided by Mountbatten, and Mountbatten was a naval commander in this Southeast Asia war theater. So he was commanding an army here in Indonesia, Singapore. He was the naval commander of Allied forces. So he only decided to commemorate his victory to give India independence on August 15. Now I will talk about the aftermath of World War II. As soon as World War finished, the Cold War started between USA and USSR. Both of these became superpowers, and the world was divided into two blocks, and it went on for nearly 45 years until USSR disintegrated in 1991. You can see in this map the two blocks that were formed. This red line is also sometimes called as the Iron Curtain, because nothing could go past this Iron Curtain, it was said, here and here. So this block, these were the Western countries, France, Western Germany, Italy. They were under the USA bloc that was later formed into NATO, and here there was the Warsaw Pact, and they were under the influence of USSR, all these countries like Poland, Czechoslovakia, Hungary, Romania, and Bulgaria. Germany was also divided into two parts after World War II. This part is the western part. This was under the control of USA, UK, and France, while the eastern part was under the control of USSR. Berlin, the city of Berlin was also divided into two portions, actually four portions: French, British, American, and Soviet. A wall was built between the city to divide the city into two parts so that people could not go from East Germany into West Germany. It was called the Berlin Wall. Also, there was huge forced transfer of population in Eastern and Central Europe. Many people, German people living in Poland were asked to leave Poland and go back to Germany. Same with Czechoslovakia. People living in Sudetenland, they were said that you should go back to the area of Germany. Why? Because they thought that in future such problems should not arise, that Germany could again attack Poland, saying that German people are living in Poland, so this is our area historically. Again, in USSR, Stalin made lakhs and crores of people to move from one place to another. There was heavy loss of men, material, and industry in Europe. Europe was completely devastated by World War II, and it was a miracle that it came back up so quickly. There was so fast economic growth in countries like Germany, France. It is a miracle. It is sometimes called as a miracle. Only UK did not see such fast economic growth. UK was seeing very less growth for the next 15 years or so. UK and France's stature as global powers diminished greatly, because again they had needed help of USA again in World War I and in World War II. The process of decolonization started and UNO was formed. Under this decolonization, only India got its independence, and many other countries in Africa, they got their independence in 1950s and 1960s. UNO was established instead of League of Nations, and the main purpose was to prevent a World War III. Similar to Germany, Japan was also occupied by the Allied forces, and also many of the Pacific Island territories, they were also occupied. Even today, USA has bases in Okinawa. You might have heard this in news sometimes. USA has a very big army base in the island of Okinawa near Japan. And after 5-6 years, this occupation was only for 6 years though. After 1952, they gave independence to Japan. Korea was also divided into two parts. One, the northern part was captured by USSR, the southern was under USA. Later, when they got their independence, they formed North Korea and South Korea respectively. Chinese Civil War, which had stopped in 1937 because both the nationalist and the communist, they came together to fight the Japanese. After the end of World War II and defeat of Japan, they started their war again. So the civil war resumed and it ended in 1949. The communists won and they controlled the China, and the nationalists, they had to flee to Taiwan. And even today, that same country, the Taiwan, there is a dispute over the Taiwan between China and the Republic of Taiwan. Also, Israel was created in the Middle East, and this has led to continuous problems in the Middle East between Arab countries and the Western countries as well as Israel. So, this was the aftermath of World War II. Another important topic is the Holocaust. Holocaust was the planned killing of Jews, Gypsies, homosexuals, mentally challenged people, and physically challenged people, as well as the Soviet prisoners of war by Germany. It was a plan by the German ministers and Hitler to kill all the Jews that are there in Europe. They made gas chambers. The Jews were put into gas chambers and they were gassed to death. They were also put in labor camps and they were made to work until they died of hunger and exhaustion. And there were some death camps where they were just simply marched for their death. These death camps only had the gas chambers. So first they used them for labor, for mining, and they did not give them any food or water. And later, when they died of exhaustion, they simply burned the bodies off. This was also called the final solution for the Jews because Hitler hated Jews. He wanted them to go away, so he proposed this final solution. It is said that 60 lakh to 1 crore people died in these camps, and approximately 40 lakh out of those were Jews. Sometimes this is said as 60 lakh. The number varies, but it was at least 40 lakh. So 40 to 60 lakh Jews were killed by Hitler directly in these gas chambers. Now I will talk about the role of India in World War II. So India was a colony of British Empire, and India supported the war effort as part of the British Empire, as did all the other colonies like Canada, Australia, South Africa. But there was a problem in India. Quit India movement was going on by the Congress. They did not support this war effort by Indians. But still, many princely states, most of the princely states, they sent their armies with the British to fight for in the Allied forces, and around 25 lakh soldiers fought in Burma. They fought in Africa as well as Southeast Asian countries. Another important thing is the Bengal famine. 30 lakh people died due to starvation in the area of Bengal, that is today's Bangladesh, West Bengal, Assam, because the British did not allow enough rice for the people living there. All the rice was sent for the British army, it was rationed. Another reason was that a huge amount of rice came from Burma, but when Burma was captured by Japan, this supply of rice stopped. So there was widespread hunger and starvation. Around 30 to 40 lakh people died from starvation. It is a huge number compared to the population at that time. And also around 78,000 soldiers also were martyred fighting for the British in this war. So this was the contribution of India. I hope you understood World War II, and you can give your feedback in the comments and also suggest topics on which you want me to make videos. Thank you very much.